And we're live from Red Deer, Alberta. Hello, Michael Birkinshaw and Taylor Elliott here to grace you with our presence.
You're welcome.
And you'll notice I have a different guest sitting in person with me here today, Aaron Boyd.
Hi.
We're doing it different this time. I have Aaron in person with me this time. So we are going to reflect on Intense Reality's third album, Are We Still the Same? This is the last video we'll do because it was meant to be kind of a lead up to our 15 years compilation album. That's out already. You can actually check it out online everywhere now. Links below and everything. Okay, hot take here. Don't know. I still think Are We Still the Same could be my favorite album.
It could be.
I don't know if that's a super hot take because we've been giving Road Trip a lot of love for the last 2 or 3 years. How long ago would you say is the last time you listened to it? Gave it
this year, sometime. Yeah. I don't remember. I think when we started doing all these things in the 15 years and stuff, I was like, I need to listen to all this stuff again.
Yeah.
I was definitely surprised by how much I enjoyed it. Because, I don't know. I remember just, when you do it, when you go in to record it, you hear everything you did wrong. So when you leave it for a bit and come back to it, you definitely appreciate it more. I experienced that firsthand.
This was kind of a transition-y kind of point in the history of the band, I would say, for one kind of fairly obvious reason.
Yeah, there was the incident that happened. We're not ready to talk about the incident yet.
We're not legally allowed to disclose the incident at the moment.
I think our NDA expires in an hour though.
So we'll see.
We'll get there.
We might get to the incident within an hour. So this is the only one that you were involved with and you were on it, but you weren't actually around for the writing of all of it, although you helped us write most of it.
Half of it.
Yeah. I would say most of this you were still involved with. By this point, you were fully in the role of the drummer.
Well, yeah, because we realized that it's really stupid to take a guitar god and make him play drums.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So then we did some math and we're like, who is not talented is the bass player, so he should be on the drums.
I did end up playing bass at this point as well, so we had done 3 shows with a new setup where Aaron was drumming, I was playing bass, Taylor was on lead guitar and everything, and these were our only Calgary shows to date. It was cool to get out there, kind of show off the Altered State songs, and we were continuing to work on writing new songs together. And then I got the busiest during my ed degree, and then you got really busy yourself.
Yeah, the incident.
It is about 5 years ago, around this time, that we were actually in Sound Lab recording it. That was around this time.
It doesn't feel that long ago.
And they were great there too. I remember Daryl Cameron and his wife Christine, and I think even their son Chris, I think helped out with a couple things as well.
He was there when we did Arch Enemy.
Yeah. So it was really cool to have those guys. I think they were just really kind and supportive. We were one of the only bands that was actually trying to do some recording there as well as rehearsing there.
Yeah, because we rehearsed there first, and they were like, "Oh, you guys have a recording studio here? Let's do it."
Yeah, they were so kind to us going into it. And
very welcoming.
Yeah, because back then we didn't have our current rehearsal space that we use all the time. We were kind of in just renting these places hour by hour to try to find time to actually practice and prep stuff.
Yeah, it was always a super long drive, and then you had to pay a bunch of money the whole time you're there too. So it felt really bad if you weren't having a productive day and you're oh, I just want to hang out or goof around instead, because you're oh, it's paying a lot of money to sit around with my thumb up my ass.
We did some prepping out at your mom's farm though too.
Yeah, no, you kind of just go wherever you can, and it's awesome. There's those places out there that let bands come in, plug in, make as much noise as they want. Sometimes there's nowhere else, so having a business that does that is really handy.
They were always super great to us, and one thing that I'll always appreciate about Daryl working with him is he was I'll give you guys as many mixes back as you need until you're happy with it. His whole thing was making sure that we thought it was top notch.
He put us first. So it was a good experience in the studio for us.
Mm-hmm. By this point in the band's history, it was just you and me. And we were kind of looking at each other okay, Aaron can't do this anymore, but we want to still see this through, and I don't know, this is before we met Colton.
Yeah. Pretty much the whole album was written, and we knew how we wanted it to go, and we had demos and everything, and it's well, we can't really play this with 2 of us, but we could probably record this with 2 of us. So.
Yeah, but we got you to come in.
I came out. I rode my bike across all of Edmonton all the way to Sherwood Park, just to lay down some piano tracks
Yeah.
and other things.
Yeah. Classic, right?
Would not recommend that bike ride. Well, it's the start of a tradition with you guys recording where you just start doing stuff and then you're like, Aaron, come out and record stuff with us. So, yeah, you are able to pull me out of my retirement.
I've successfully pulled you out of retirement for Arch Enemy.
Yeah.
And then for re-recording Midnight Drive, Downward Spiral, and Pieces.
Yeah. And,
So that's the
and
second
this
time.
album, too.
So 3 different times,
Yeah.
Aaron says, like, okay, yeah, I have to quit. And I'm like, no, you don't.
Yeah.
So fair enough. And then once again, we had you do drums and all the lead guitar and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was hard, but I practiced a lot more for this one,
Yeah.
so I think most of them came out pretty good.
Oh, absolutely. No, they're great. Like, they,
Man, it was hard.
you did a freaking amazing, like, best musician I've ever worked with, sitting right beside me, right here.
Just Dave Grohl over here. No.
So much skill. Like, you listen to something like Intro, like we're about to talk about, and Taylor recorded every single thing that you hear. I didn't even do anything on Intro. He just recorded the whole, does drums, does multiple, like, lead intertwining, like, guitar lines and stuff like that. Like, this dude could be a one-man band if he wanted to. 100%.
I don't have the attention focus for that though.
Well, so then you have me.
Then that's where you come in.
Yeah,
So.
just channel it all through or whatever. But no, it was so cool. I think there's so many like highlights in your songwriting and so many highlights in my songwriting and highlights in ways that we like work together on this album. Even represented by like the cover of just like you and me on the road and stuff like that. Like I don't know. I think that's this album I've always kind of seen as kind of like a love letter to our friendship as well too. So we're gonna go over the album track by track again, kind of like we've been doing with the other ones before. And I'm curious for some of Aaron's thoughts on certain songs that he didn't actually have much to do with.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it'll be a very different perspective now that I've escaped my prison inside of Michael's laptop, and now I'm a real person.
So there's the intro.
Yeah.
It's supposed to flow into Lifeline, and it like perfectly flows into it.
I know.
That transition was good. I didn't want to pause it, but
No, I know, it's tough, right? Because it feels like you're like interrupting a thought. I've always wanted to have those like song transitions on like every project I've ever done ever.
they're so cool.
I know, it's just, that helps it feel like an album, I feel.
Michael's very against people using the shuffle feature on their music apps.
I feel like if you get a new album, you should hear it in the order that the artist intended it.
When I listen to Intro, I like feel like it's like the beginning of a movie or something like that. Like it's so epic.
It sounds epic, I guess.
I've always felt like that one is really underrated.
It's a nice way to start the album. Like, it's very different from the standard Intense Reality song.
Yeah.
So,
Because a lot of the time we would come out like just like
yeah.
punching like with something
wall of
right
sound.
away.
Huh!
Yeah, right? This one we didn't. We kind of had like a little bit of like a, I don't know how to describe it. It's just like this kind of like epic, like slow build
Yeah, it's like
kind of thing.
mysterious.
Like, oh, these guys are like trying to take this to like the next level. Like we're presenting something that's just kind of like has that nice like slow build. Like it actually like takes its time. It kind of makes a bit of a like a soundscape or something like that, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I noticed that a lot of albums that are good albums, they have like a song like that at the start that kind of is slower, draws you in, builds up a lot, and then the first song starts and it really, you're fully committed by the time the first song starts, like the first true song,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Do you remember anything about like when you came up with Intro?
It was just a cool guitar part. I remember I had some lyrics for it at one point too, but you know, just wanted to keep it instrumental.
Oh, that's fair. Yeah, that's cool. Cause yeah, I got there's one demo I got from you at one point, and it was actually in a different key. And then I think we were kind of smithing like the track list of the album, and we're like, oh, but if you play it in C# instead, then we can do this thing. And
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think I actually had it in A at first,
yeah,
and then I was just like, okay.
yeah.
Let's make it the same as the Lifeline so it transitions.
Guess how much I did on that song?
Nothing.
Jack shit. Yeah.
That's the way to do it. Work smarter, not harder.
There actually is no bass on that song because Taylor was like, I'm not really feeling it, so.
It doesn't really need it.
I just played the guitar, no metronome. I did not, none of it was a metronome. And I just played it on the guitar, the one thing that I wanted to, and then I did another layer, then I did like the drums, I think, and then I just kept adding layers. I just started with one track and just recorded based on that first guitar track.
Oh, that's cool.
And just built it all off of that.
That's kind of cool, actually, having the drums as like an addition instead of like the foundation.
Yeah, because I didn't know what to do the accents and everything without the guitar. So we'll start with the guitar.
That's cool, actually.
I'll listen to that and then I'll just play whatever I feel like.
Yeah, because that kind of breaks the...
And Daryl was down with it. He's like, yeah, man, do whatever you want.
Yeah.
He's like, I'll push record and you go.
So sick.
So this one's really cool. We've never done this one live. I don't know. I like it. I think it's really cool. I think it kind of shows that we're trying to like take a step up in terms of like musical complexity and stuff like that.
Yeah, you're putting more thought into it.
I'd
I'd say it's firmly the second best song on the album.
And why is
A
that?
close second.
Why is that?
Well, this one is a little under 2 minutes, so that's like pretty good. You do like to see a pretty short song, but somehow there is an even shorter song that you get later, so it's hard to top that. Less is more, as they famously say about music. So, you know, ideally, if you get like a song that's just like one note, one instrument, just dong, bam, there you go.
Done. Aaron's like instant
It's your
banger.
first platinum record right there.
Yeah, holy.
Eat your heart out, Taylor Swift.
Yeah, and then you go on Spotify and you just hit repeat shuffle over it, and then you just rack up the streams.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And then stonks.
Let's complete that transition. Let's do Lifeline.
Lifeline.
I've been waiting for a lifeline, baby. Feels like I've waited for a lifetime. Whoa, whoa.
That slaps.
That's still like, I think ever since we learned that, we've been playing it every show ever since. Like,
Yeah.
it's a good song.
That one's a fun one. That's even though it is a longer song, it's longer than a minute. I do quite like that one. No, that one's fun because that was like maybe the first song that like we've made together where like I was actually a drummer.
Listening to that, though, I mean, like, definitely highlights for me that you get a slightly different experience when you see us play this live versus that recording.
Oh yeah.
Because we're like
I think
translating
that's
that keyboard part over to like guitar and everything, and I think we actually end up playing that one like a little bit faster than the recording too. Like it's just a slightly different vibe live. I think it is a bit more balls to the wall. This one is almost kind of more focused on the groove and just the recording. But no, super sick though. I think both ways that you could see us do it are awesome. But that was Aaron on the keyboard there doing that keyboard part.
Yeah, thanks, Aaron.
Yeah.
You rocked it.
Yeah.
You did a great job.
I learned the piano on the spot in the studio, and I spent hours and hours and hours of my life learning it, all like 0.1 hours to lay down the sick piano track.
Whoa!
I remember you like having to like sit there and explain it to me like so many times. It was like not hard. It's like 4 seconds to learn it, but I was honestly just like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, I don't have any memory of this.
Before it was set that you were able to come in, we were going to have to program some stuff.
Yeah.
We were going to program a keyboard part. We were going to program, well, we maybe wouldn't have programmed a cowbell, but like we're going to program like all these like extra things. The nice thing about you coming in is you kind of solve that problem for us, and then we're like, okay, there's all these different sounds on the album, but somebody actually played everything on the album. Nothing was programmed, which I thought was pretty good and like a good standard to hold for Intense Reality.
Well, yeah, I mean, if I didn't come to record like those random, like hit the cowbell and things like that, it would have been impossible because nobody else in the band has hands.
Yeah. The other thing that jumps out to me too is like, compared to Altered States, having done like semi-recently the listen through of Altered States, is like the recording quality of this one is so much better. And the vocals actually kind of sound like me. I think this is the first one where the vocals, like my lead vocals, actually sound like me. They sound kind of like they're supposed to sound.
Yeah, you see like the progression in audio technology with each new album.
This was definitely a one-to-one of just like, I had written this and made the demo for it, and then we basically kind of just brought that demo to life with like real instruments, like across through way.
Yeah. Like what you heard there, that's pretty much like exactly how Michael wrote it. It's
Yeah.
just like, I got this song, and we're like, cool.
Yeah.
Let's go.
We actually did a live stream practice one of the other times we were practicing at Sound Lab.
Yeah.
And then if people like watched it after the fact, they could see us play Lifeline before we actually recorded it. Which I discovered that the other day. I was like, oh, I forgot about that. Then we drove my car out into a field in a snowstorm to do the video.
Yeah, the music video for this one is really cool too. I would check it out.
Yeah.
One of the most cinematic ones, I think.
Yeah. it's very literal. Like the lyrics are about what you see in the video, and there's no like deeper meaning with this one. Really, it very much literally is kind of like a survival kind of thing. Like you crashed your car in a snowstorm. That's actually really all that is to it.
Yeah.
Pretty Canadian thing to write about, I suppose.
Yeah, we
But-
literally went into a snowstorm and filmed.
Taylor's good at snow driving, so just do
It was
this.
pretty safe.
But yeah, just sitting in front of the headlights as like the snow is like.
Yeah, the snow was
Pushing
flying by and just those lights. Yeah,
Yeah, no, it was sick.
it was cinematic, man.
It just turned out so well. It felt like kind of a continuation of what we had done on the prior albums, but like with, you know, a little bit better writing, like kind of more like new parts on it kind of thing, like kind of just like moving the ball forward but not sounding like terribly different than what we did on the previous two albums.
Lifeline's great. Really happy that we still have it in our set list. It was awesome. It's just such a staple. Potentially like a top 10 or maybe even a top 5 Intense Reality song for me personally.
Top 100 for sure.
Now you got me on the phone, I'm saying words
That you'll never understand, 'cause I lost your mind.
Oh, I'm telling you again.
Think back to when we were strong, and now come I should have known all along.
Another one that just goes hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just a fucking solid rocker one.
Yeah. Do you remember the origins of that one?
I remember writing about breaking up in a relationship.
Yeah. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
And I remember the riff. I seen a band play that was like a local band, and they had some song in F sharp minor. I was like, oh, that's cool, because you could do F sharp and then go to E. So I wanted to do that.
Okay, yeah.
That's why it's like dun 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 dun.
Yeah.
Literally just because of that. I was like, I want to do that. Once again, I wrote like a verse or something, and then Michael's like, we need to make this a whole song, and then he just comes up with a super catchy chorus, and Bob's your uncle.
At one point, we were working on like a very, very, very early prototype of it. I think maybe it was before, just around the time that we were getting Altered States done, and I came out to visit you. I guess you know the timeline of that better than I, because I think it was when you were living in Wetaskiwin.
Okay.
There was just one time, just very briefly, I remember that chorus. I think the verses were something different, but there was an old demo that you had. But I do remember us sitting down and then having that conversation about the chorus where it's like, na 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 na, and then just like,
you came up with that for sure. So now you got me on the phone, because I had the lyrics written, but I didn't know like a melody to sing.
yeah.
And like, I got this catchy way to sing it, and you just did that, and I was like, Marty!
That was just another great, like, you and I just kind of coming together and working something out. I think the lyrics were pretty much all yours on this one.
I think I wrote pretty much all the lyrics. I think you helped me with a couple of things just to make them smoother.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Yeah.
Taylor has a serious love for using the bass drum as many times each millisecond as humanly possible, and then doing it like 3 more times per second more than that. And I don't know, it doesn't even sound like that difficult when you listen to it, but it's just like you have to just like rapid fire like your foot the entire song, and I just could never do that.
Yeah.
And I remember Taylor would get like so annoyed because he'd be like, it's not even that hard, and then he'd like go sit in the drums, just like rip it out instantly, like no effort, and be like, dude, I don't know, I don't have like this freaking robo leg that can just like rapid fire move.
Yeah.
So then yeah, do like some really janky, like not good version of it. So then I got fired, and then they replaced it with cowbell instead.
Was that the incident?
That wasn't the incident.
Uh-oh, we still haven't figured out what the
Our
incident is.
NDA hasn't expired yet.
Okay.
And then we get into the studio, and we had planned to, obviously as you hear in the song, like trade off the lead vocal, like pretty much do a 50-50 lead vocal, but we changed the way that was going to happen so many times that like by the time we were in the studio, I was like confused. I didn't know what way we were doing it. So you were away one time, and I just like was like, I don't know what Taylor wants to do, so Daryl, I'm just gonna sing the whole song, and then you cut out the parts that are Taylor's.
Yeah, they were not missing anything.
Yeah, I think that's what I ended up doing. Because I just, we like wanted one thing, and it was like, oh, actually know this. Oh, actually know this. So, I think we landed on like the absolute best way to do it. I love that.
Yeah, it works really good. Like, I do one verse, you do another verse, and then we kind of split the chorus. Because we're going to do, you do that line, I do this line, and then like that. We did it the best way.
Instead of just a blank, like, now you got me on the phone, I'm saying words. don't you understand? Blah, blah, blah. Like, no, I like the way that we actually have it. It's cooler, it's more creative. The guitar solo, super sick.
That's a good one.
Yeah, that was a great one.
Kind of mimics the main melody, and that's always a good idea.
Yeah. And then Aaron doing the cowbell.
The cowbell!
Yeah.
That song had a perfect amount of cowbell.
Yeah, it's still stressful though, because I was like, oh god, I've never played cowbell in front of
Never.
people before.
I've never belled a cow in my life.
Yeah, when you're like, how hard do I hit it? Like, do I wail on it? Do I hit it kind of gently? Like, do you get more of like the spectrum of all of these like sultry tones coming out of the cowbell,
Yeah.
or do you want more like grungy kind of?
Yeah. Do you want more of a disco cowbell or a reggae
Yeah,
cowbell?
there's a lot to think about. Like,
Or like a country cowbell
Yeah.
or a metal cowbell?
like don't sleep on the cowbell. People are like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, like that's where the no talent people go. No, like
Excuse me.
this is where the elites go. Like,
Yeah.
freaking Beethoven
You have to
plays the
ascend
cowbell.
to the level of the cowbell.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, you're not good enough for the
yeah.
cowbell.
You just need a master's degree.
Shouldn't even be talking about the cowbell if you're
Yeah.
not ready for it.
If you don't have at least a master's degree, the cowbell actually bursts into flames in your hand.
We knew we were going in to record in Edmonton, which is where Aaron was living anyway. And so it kind of started out as like kind of like a half idea of like, hey, well, you know, like if you've got a day or two to spare, why don't you come visit us while we're recording and just like, ha, do the cowbell, ha. But then...
Yeah, well, I think we always wanted him to do like a background vocal or something, and it was like, you gotta do the cowbell.
Yeah, and then as he was still there, we just kind of ended up like asking him to do more and more shit. And then we just filmed us recording all the parts, and that was the music video.
Yeah, in studio music video.
Yeah, I love those. So just quick and fun and easy. You're like working on the song, but then making a video for it at the same time. It's like super efficient.
I think it became the last music video that you're in.
You guys don't have hands. They couldn't do the
Yeah,
cowbell.
actually the camera fell out of my hands when I
Yeah, they're
grabbed
just
it.
holding those
It was
as stumps.
Yeah.
It's really hard to hit the record button.
We taught it to Colton. This is one of the earlier ones that Colton learned, and we've played it at most of our shows, and I still really like this one.
And I think it brings this like really awesome like get up and shake your booty kind of energy to our shows, and yeah, I really like it for that reason.
Next song.
Next on the list.
Hold on for this one.
Breathe slow, if all you need is me, just know, as far as I may seem, I'll try my best to set you free, till I can be beside you.
Hold On is like a really special song, I think. Like, it's about Kaylee, it's about my wife, it's about us like living long distance away from each other and stuff like that, and so it's an honest one. I just kind of like barfed out kind of how I was feeling.
This was from when we visited you in Hardesty. Aaron and I drove up, and it was the beginning of 2018, and we kind of had this like loose idea, like plan, like, you know, maybe we can come up with like 3 new songs over this like weekend that we like stayed with you up there. But yeah, I went up there and wrote Hold On. You wrote a song, and then we ended up kind of just jamming out another one together too. But then Hold On was the only one that actually got carried forward.
Tracked like an entire demo for it at the time. You came up with like the drums for it.
It's like, I remember working on that.
Yeah.
Hardesty.
Yeah, we put that one together
Yeah.
live.
Every time we play it, it's just like, oh,
Yeah, it's nice.
It's so nice.
Something just clicked just right. The joke that I always make is that like I came up with this guitar part and it was like kind of annoying to play, so I'm like, Taylor, here you go.
I still forget it every once in a while, but
But it was like, yeah, just like sitting there and just like, yeah, I was just in this like upstairs bedroom or whatever, kind of hammering it out. And then yeah, it kind of grew into this bigger thing. It did always kind of carry that sentimental weight to it. We played it at my wedding. We performed it there when I got married to Kaylee.
every time like, we play it, people just love it. Like,
Yeah,
big cheers every time. Everybody's into it.
yeah, which is great.
And it came together so smoothly when we were recording it too. Taylor and I had like moments where we just had like chills and this. We were like, wow, how does this sound like this good? We literally like looking at each other like we have never got a recorded sound that was like that good, and we just like we couldn't believe it. And like even the content of the song aside, like we were just like getting like, oh my god, like we like it felt like a real tangible step up.
That would sound so good.
Yeah,
I used a different guitar on that one too.
yeah.
I used, because he had a Strat in the studio, and it was signed by none other than Nile Rodgers. So I was like, fuck, I gotta use that.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
It was perfect because it's single coil, right?
Yeah.
Sounds really great for cleans.
Yeah, like it packs a lot of emotion to it. Like it makes me feel things every time I listen to it. I remember the first time hearing the recorded version, I was like, damn. I think even the recording it, the little bit of vocals I did for this, I'm pretty sure that might have been like the last thing that we did on that run. So
Yeah.
at the time I was like, man, that was like my last thing. Or so I thought. It's a good song. Like the whole breakdown, coming back up into it to all the way through the ending is like really just top quality the whole way.
You said at one point, I'm wondering if you still feel this way. Do you feel like this is your favorite Intense Reality song?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah.
Like for sure, 100% over the other ones.
Well, there's like there's different bins. Like this one, like definitely by far the best for like being like just a real song, like makes you feel things. Nothing comes close to this one. I don't know. Midnight Drive is still also like in terms of just like really good like rock song.
Mm-hmm.
Hard to beat that one too.
Yeah, that's fair. And then it's so nice that we actually
Yeah, but
got
they're very
Midnight Drive.
different songs though.
Yeah, they're
So
different
It's
beats.
hard to like
Yeah.
put them hand to head.
And we don't really have anything else that's quite the vibe of this song. We have like acoustic or quiet or chill ones, and we have like upbeat or like heavier stuff. We don't really
Yeah.
have a ton that's in this like mid range. I've got it labeled as pop punk. It's not even like purely pop punk either. It is kind of like almost like this like power ballad kind of thing.
Yeah.
Almost.
Yeah, I'd say it fits more like that kind of genre.
Yeah. So the kind of a unique thing for us too.
It just works really well, like with the back and forth between like the really quiet, where it's just Taylor's guitar, and then like all the other instruments come back in and like alternating between that.
Yeah.
It makes good for a good auditory experience.
Taylor Marco helped us with the video for it.
Yep, there's a good video for this one too.
Yep.
Has a nice little story in it.
Yeah, that whole like kind of exemplifying that long distance one. It's been a long time since I've watched the video, actually.
It's good.
We filmed some stuff outdoors in like scenic sands, right?
Yeah, just out on the side of the highway, basically, like side of the gravel road. Just go in the ditch and set up the drums.
Yeah, there were people that lived in my mom's community that were like driving by, and I think they're first like double taking, and then they're realizing it was me, and then they're like, oh, okay, whatever.
It's just that music kid.
It's that music kid that just likes to do all the music stuff. That's like one of the only times we've had like outside help in like editing and like filming a video.
Yeah.
So like super props to Taylor Markle for like volunteering to do that for us.
Excellent, yeah.
It was super cool working with her. I definitely would never mind doing, you know, a thing like that where like we have some like the directing or like filming or editing help from another person. Yeah,
And like, don't be worried about it too. Like if you normally just do videos for weddings and stuff, like it's pretty much the same thing. Like
really.
you
Yeah.
Just get us in the frame, just
Yeah.
press record. You know, it's all
Yeah,
good.
because I think she was even helping us like get our story straight on like the order of the events and like the plot and stuff like that. And I was like, oh
And-
yeah, that
yeah.
makes sense.
She was thinking about the sun setting and changing the lighting too.
Yeah, which was like awesome because.
Yeah, we should hurry. Okay.
But like the other 90% of the videos you see from us are pretty DIY, right?
Oh, yeah.
So sometimes they work out really well. Sometimes we do run into something that just technologically we just can't get past or whatever. 99 times out of 100 we're all good, but it is nice to have that extra like outside opinion and stuff like that too.
That was really cool. And so we premiered the video for this the day that the album came out, and that was kind of cool. And yeah, kind of put this one up as like a single and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Happy we did.
And I think since this album doesn't have like a self-titled song, I really feel like this one is like the album song. Like when you look at the artwork and everything too, I feel like that really goes with this song too.
Yeah.
I took that picture.
Yeah. So if we're looking at the artwork, like, yeah, we were coming back from, we were trying to do some plot shots for Wait that never,
Yeah.
like
up on,
materialized.
like, the bench on like the ridge by the lake.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then you were walking behind us, and we were just talking and walking down the road in
Yeah.
the scenic sands, and you just like went down.
I was like, I'm feeling artistic.
Yeah, I guess so.
Photography is my passion.
I had no idea that you took that photo. It's like so like organic, and then
Yeah.
all that Taylor and I did is just just change the colorscape of it a little bit more. That's
Yeah.
all that we did, and then we're like, this is so cool because it represents the album just being Taylor and I.
Yeah, just that whole era. Well, it's also like you look at all the other album artworks too, and it's all like drawn things, and then this is like the only one that's just like a real photo.
This one's real for sure. Like the
Yeah.
footprints
Yeah.
too. Like, you would think that photography is your passion based on the framing of this photo.
Nah,
You
people
would-
who are actually doing photography are like, man, these guys are so full of themselves.
Yeah. No, it's cool. It's like one of my
Yeah.
favorite images related to the band.
Yeah, it was cool because I had no idea like what you guys were calling the album or like what you're doing for artwork at times. So then when you like gave me the CD copy of it, I saw that I was like, well, that like really fits together quite well.
Taylor came up with the title. Taylor's came up with the title for all of our albums except for Greatest Hits, which you came up with the title for. I have not titled any of our albums. Any idea I've ever had for a title has never
Yeah,
been
he's just
a good
busy
one.
writing 99% of everything.
It's not like how the title can be somebody else's job.
Yeah.
But Are We Still the Same? I think Taylor was just thinking, like, talking about how the band had changed over the course of 10 years by that point.
Yeah.
And like how we'd kind of grown as people. I think lineup changes and stuff like that were starting to... Like,
Yeah.
Taylor and I actually kind of thought that when we were doing this one, we were like, okay, this is maybe the last Intense Reality album. We thought
Yeah,
that
it did kind of seem like that.
it did seem like it, and then, like, lo and behold, we met Colton at the end of 2019, and then it just totally changed the trajectory of the band and kind of brought it back to life.
Yeah.
But at the time, we were kind of... I think, like, this album is, like, very, actually kind of serious in tone and trying to do all these, like, kind of cool, more experimental or, like, more technically progressive things because we thought, okay, maybe this is our last, like, swing at it.
Yeah, that's Hold On, another one. I appreciate the kind words about it. It's I love playing it. It's a super cool song, and it's completely contrasted by the next song. It's Your Choice.
It totally takes a 180.
Yeah.
You never know what's gonna happen with Intense Reality.
Whoa, man, they're gonna do all these crazy shit.
Now it's your choice. Pour the powers in your hand. You could do this like a man, or just blow us all to pieces.
So fast, so intense.
It's like everything that's just like a trademark characteristic of like Michael's ideal like punk rock music is in that song.
This is the time and probably, like, the best example of us getting, like, the punk sound, like, right.
Yeah.
So we tried this type of song on Altered States, Steal Away, and it just didn't come together as nicely as It's Your Choice did. Like, Steal Away is supposed to sound like It's Your Choice, but, like, just the way that it was mixed and everything, and we talked about that in the other video. It's Your Choice is, like, us, like, gunning for, like, the punk sound and actually getting it.
I remember having it and being like, okay, all right, you know, and then I kind of kept it off to the side. I actually, for a while, didn't think that it was, like, strong enough. And then you came forward with, like, Victims of the System later, and then I was like, oh, okay, I'm getting a sense of, like, the overall, like, the way that this is kind of shaping up, and then that inspired me to bring back It's Your Choice.
Yeah.
Once you had Victims of the System, I was like, okay, I'm starting to see some, like, commonalities in the songs here and stuff like that.
Honestly, the whole like hardcore punk sound and the more the skate punk sound too, it grew a lot on me over the last, like, I don't know, 10 years. I wasn't super into it in high school, but later on, like, very much got into it. So that's what the album was about. Like, for me, is like, we need to have some punk stuff because, like, I always tell people we're a punk band, but I feel like we don't have very many, like, true punk songs.
Yeah, it's interesting because we're like punk, but then we're also like doing the classic rock influence, but then we're also doing like the heavier like hard rock, borderline metal kind of stuff. And then sometimes I have something that's like really poppy. So to get some stuff out that's like core, just like punk, exactly, just right all the way through.
Yeah.
Taylor really bought into it with me. He did a fucking fantastic job on the drums.
Yeah.
On this one, he did such a good job. He helped me with like structuring it when I wasn't sure how to like finish it. We were working on it together, and we kind of came to the conclusion together. It didn't necessarily need like a stereotypical second verse. We could just introduce like different parts and kind of throw it through. So I think the whole thing is like super interesting.
I'm proud of my drumming on that one.
I love your drumming on that one. I love your drumming. I love your guitar solo.
I would not be able to just like jump on a drum kit and do that again. Like, it's really fast.
Yeah, but you could tell you're just like locked in.
You gotta be fast when you're playing punk.
It's wicked. It's like, it's political. It's like, fuck the Republican USA kind of thing.
Man ahead of his time.
In like 2017 or whenever it was, then I wrote this kind of just like looking down south and like looking at like the political landscape down there and being like, oh god, like what the heck.
You know, I've thoughts, but I don't really like make them very like blunt. But it's just like, holy fuck, people are gonna blow up the world.
Yeah.
is what it really feels like. And it's like, hey, you're in power. It's your choice. Like, this is your responsibility, but you're gonna doom us all.
I mean, all that stuff translates so well to punk music and stuff like that. But it was actually when you wrote a punk song that I was like, okay, yeah, my punk song matches your punk song.
It's okay to be punk.
I remember like having to learn how to like do the hey, because like that's honestly like when people do like the shouty background stuff, like that's always confusing because it's like you just scream directly to the microphone, you're gonna be clipping.
Yeah, you have
really
to set
hard.
the levels the right way to do it.
Yeah. So, because like I remember like we were doing shows back in ye old days, like old Max, and there's like Rise Against songs and things like that.
Yeah.
Where we're supposed to be like hey, and like we never came close to like doing it even somewhat okay, just because it's like I'm scared.
Yeah. Well, we're also kids and stuff
Yeah.
like that, right? So you don't have the same depth of voice as an adult
Yeah, it's like,
member
I
of
don't
Rise
know
Against
how loud
does.
to yell, or like
Yeah.
if I stand far away from the mic and scream, or like up close and not scream, or what the math is. I still don't know what the answer to that math is.
Yeah.
I guess we figured it out for this one.
No, this one was freaking wicked. I ripped like an extra little bass line on it too. Super dank.
I can't believe it, but it took us until 2024 to actually perform that song, which is just crazy to me. And I was like, man, we should have been doing this one for like a while, because like we had a bunch of friends that were like really good about getting up and like doing a freaking
It was a
circle
mosh.
bit and stuff.
Almost super good. We gotta do it more.
Yeah, 100%.
I'll let you walk away from me. Now it's all I ever see.
I was thinking like this song is another like big underrated one. Like we never played this one live, unfortunately. I love this one.
Song name that I hate for the song that's not too bad.
Yeah, and I feel like that all came down to like an 11th hour, like, oh fuck. So I feel like I kind of owe you a bit of an apology for that one, because what ended up happening was like, okay, album's done, here we go, and there was just no good name for this song.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can call it like One Day.
No, I don't know. Yeah, I don't like it. Like there was like every name idea for it just kind of sucked.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. So it was one of those things like I don't know. I don't know if that changes the perception of the song. I think it's okay to have like a song that's just like kind of a silly name, but then like an actual different topic like underneath it.
The stuff that I was writing about in the lyrics and stuff like that was like darker, and I felt like it could detract from that if it just kind of had like a silly song title. So, but I in the end never knew what the song should actually be called. The only reason it's called Jar Jar Binks is it just originates from like a demo where
I think I was watching Star Wars and I was like, oh, let's just call it Jar Jar Binks for now. 'Cause
Yeah.
It's a dumb name.
but then it ended up being like, well, the dumb name is better than the
Why don't we
non-existent
just-
name that we
Yes.
like don't have.
We could have come up with a better name, for fuck's sake. It's got a cool riff. I remember just coming up with that. I'm like, oh, Michael would like this. So I played it for you, and you're like,
And-
song time!
Yeah. No,
This,
honest.
this song is good.
You can like read me like a book. You'll like have something and you're like, I bet Michael will like this, and then of course
Well.
I will.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty easy.
Yeah.
You like a lot of stuff. You're really good like that. You're like not super critical, not super negative. You're like, we'll make this work.
Yeah, I think like the cool thing is that you always come up with stuff that like you just write differently than I do, and that's so cool and it's so refreshing because it kind of breaks me out of the mold of like if I make too much stuff that all kind of sounds the same as itself. You have so many more like unique ideas, and you can kind of take things in a cooler direction. But yes, I do remember being so excited when I first heard you play that riff. I was like, oh my god, that's so good! And then you and me and Aaron just jammed it out live. I think we were also in Hardesty at the time.
Yep.
And then you could definitely tell like that we were goofing around with like who's playing on what instrument, and like we're in that phase of the band because like the bass is definitely like there's parts of that play way more like a guitar than like a traditional bass.
Yeah.
So I think, which is cool, 'cause, like you see some different things in there. There's like more interesting things going on, but you definitely get that like reflection of the change up and like who's playing what instrument all the time around
Yeah.
that era. You're supposed to be bass, I was supposed to be drums, and then Taylor just did drums and guitar instead.
Yeah, but then on a lot of the songs, I also played rhythm guitar like I normally would.
Yeah.
As well, but not all of them. There are some songs where I didn't get to play guitar.
Yeah.
But wherever I could sneak some guitar in, I did because it was meant to be rhythm guitar. But you know, yeah, it was just weird with lineup stuff at that point. But I remember coming up with that little bass ditty, and I was like, man,
Yeah.
that's kind of cool.
I think the tempo gave us a little bit of a runaround when we were in studio.
The intro to the verse, like, there's such a different feel.
Yeah. So I can't remember if we just tracked it or if we did set up 2 different tempo sections. I think we did set up 2 different tempo sections, but I mean, upon like working on like some covers that I'm working on right now, I realized that that's actually like more common than we think, that songs do actually change in tempo.
Yeah.
Sometimes that just happens, right? Or it is done by a band that's not doing the click in the first place. We got a really, really, really good instrumental for it, and then I wrote some lyrics after the fact. I brought it back and like thought it was like really, really solid. I was surprised, you know, with the stuff that's like more major key. With you and Aaron being into it, I'm like, oh, okay, good. Because like usually there is a bit of pressure to not have that many major key songs, I feel.
Especially when we were younger, it was like, oh, major key means that we're not cool or whatever. Like, it's just lame if it sounds happy. Part of that was just our, I don't know, attitude at the time.
Also, still quite not exactly the type of song that we had done before. Like, just musically, like, kind of something new for us at that time.
Yeah, I mean, we've only done one other song like it since, so...
Do you feel like, in a way, like, it could be argued that was a little bit of a precursor for Town Needs a Hero?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah. No, it was kind of cool. It was like, Town Needs a Hero was then, like, kind of taking that idea with Jar Binks and then just kind of taking it, like, a step further. Kind of bringing in, like, the core and the double kick drumming, like, even more. And then, yeah, just kind of taking it that extra step. But I think Jar kind of walked so that This Town Needs a Hero could run. But I would like to say publicly that I love this song and I miss playing it. And I hope that we can play it live at some point or just kind of get it out at some point because I've always really loved this song. But yeah, that's this one. And next is one that we do play live all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Wave my middle finger to the world. Left when self-destruction to unfurl.
Okay, I'm not listening to the recording of that one in a while. Yeah, definitely like some small differences and stuff like that. Like the pace is like, once again, like a little bit more like laid back, a little bit slower than how we play it live. This is very minimal, kind of minimalist almost in a sense. Like this was this kind of idea of like one drum track, one bass track, one guitar track, one vocal track. That's all that there is. There's just some stereo spread applied to the guitar, maybe the bass, just to kind of make it sound more stereo. But really, like, this was just, like, absolutely, like, bare bones. And so, like, when we play it live, especially when we've had, like, 2 guitarists, there's some extra, like, licks and extra lines on it. So you actually get more of a full experience seeing us play this one live, I think, actually, than the recording.
It's fun to play and everything and just get a good groove riff thing happening. And, yeah, it's fun.
That was one of the first, or maybe I think the first song that I wrote after I finished my teaching practicum. And I was like, oh my gosh, I actually have time to like work on music again. Holy shit, holy shit. So it was like the very beginning of 2019. And I'd come across this old recording of you doing the kind of like this like guitar warm-up kind of thing.
Yeah, and you thought I came up with that, but I did not come up with that. So we had to change it.
Right! Yeah.
Yeah. So we switched it up. We basically reversed it, and then it became middle finger.
I don't know, I just was like, this is so cool. What if this was a song?
Yeah.
But I didn't know. Yeah, you're right. I totally didn't know. Because I just have, like, old recordings of us, and I don't know where half the stuff comes from.
Yeah. Well, it's actually, I think it's from the intro to Rocksmith.
Oh, okay.
Like the game that you plug in and you your guitar to.
Yeah.
And it has this intro thing where a guy plays a guitar solo like that.
Okay.
And, like, I just fucking learned it because it's at the beginning of the game every time. So it's like, oh, this is how it goes. So just figure it out.
Oh,
so then I
that's
started
cool.
playing it.
Oh, cool.
When we were practicing.
And then I had never played Rocksmith at the time, or
you never even knew about it.
But we'd also been in the practice of like sending each other like riffs and demos for like years leading up to that point too. So I definitely just thought it was like something of yours.
This one like lived for like less than a year from being written to being recorded. Like this was one of the very last ones. I hate to say it, but I think you were out by the time I wrote this one.
Yeah, no, this one was a fun surprise listen to the album because this was 100% made after the incident. Yeah, I like no idea the song even existed, but I would like this one is like I really like this one. Like this is the one song of like the ones that like I had never had any involvement with where I listen to it and I'm like, you know what, like sometimes I want to like actually like take the effort and like sit down and like learn the bass line for this one because it's pretty tasty.
I want to be careful with like how it's interpreted because I think this one has the potential to get misunderstood or whatever.
Middle Finger is lyrically about the willfully ignorant that won't listen to any other perspective of their own and kind of just want to be in an echo chamber.
This is about the conspiracy theorists. This is about the science deniers. This is about the people that stick their head in the sand and they don't want to hear anything that goes against their existing notions of the way that the world works or whatever. It's not me waving my middle finger to the world. It's them lashing out against people trying to teach them the truth about the world. I think that gets a little misconstrued sometimes.
It's so easy to think it's you saying, fuck the world, I hate everything.
I know.
I wave my middle finger at the world. And this is what happens when you listen to the lyrics and you actually pay attention. You realize it's maybe not about what you thought it was.
And it's like kind of a song about like the frustration about the fact that there are people like that in the world.
Yeah.
But I think if you look at it very surface level, it's like, oh, Michael's really pissed off at somebody, so he's waving his middle finger. It's like, no, that's not actually fully what's going on there.
Yeah, he can't. He doesn't have middle fingers.
Yeah, we talked
No
about
hands.
this. I don't have hands.
He'll wave his stump at you.
That was the best callback that you ever could have came up with. That was fucking incredible. God damn it.
But I think that translated into like our idea for the video as well, was how that mindset then just poisons like others and stuff like that, and then
Yeah.
how that like negativity or buying into like false information could then like spread.
The video was kind of crazy because like it's basically like a guy with a storm in his head, which is like the storm of like delusion basically. And then you infect somebody else. You're like, oh, this is what I believe, and you know it's all true, and this, and then they get infected with the delusion too.
Yeah.
You're going around everybody else saying like, oh, they're all wrong, and I'm right, but really everything's just a cloud, and
Yeah.
you're honestly the wrong one.
And then at the end, we're like, how do we end it? Oh, there's an anti-bullshit spray.
Yeah, we got anti-bullshit spray. It's easy.
And then we used that video to also debut Colton and show off. Because Colton was with us by the time we made that video, so we're like, okay, well, you know what, Colton, you're going to star in a video.
Yeah, you didn't have anything to do with writing this song. You didn't have anything to do with recording it.
But you're going to represent the guy in the video.
You are in the video.
So props to Colton for being a good sport about
I
that.
took some bravery.
Yeah.
Just walk along here and I'll digitally put a cloud on your head.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's good sport.
And then this one just really went off live. It was just fun to play live.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard not to play because it's just got kind of such a cool groove kind of going on there.
Especially right at the end when it comes back to the intro riff and everything. It's just like, I always jump because like, how do you just stand?
Yeah, no, it's like, So that's cool. Kind of just a good old rock song.
Just a jam. Fun to play. And definitely like me pushing myself on bass.
What a guitar song.
Yeah. Man. Yeah. That was fun. I just wanted to do something that was fun to play. And it was kind of like a little too fast for the lyrics. Because I threw way too many lyrics into this. And I was like, blah, 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 blah. So that's why it's like hard to play. But the guitar parts are pretty fun.
Yeah. But you end up with this like really cool cadence for the lyrics. Like I definitely love the way that you lined it up in the end.
Yeah.
You had so many ideas and so much to say in this one as well.
It's a complicated subject.
Yeah.
It's survival of greed, man. And the same kind of mental space as like As Creation Allows for this song, where it's kind of like, just like, you're kind of thinking about the whole world. And you're like, this is the way things are in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And this is kind of the under the rug part. In
Yeah.
a way.
You know, like living in innocence, a coral reef dies, you know, it's just like all the stuff that you don't think about.
Yeah, and it's like, we should be trying to like make the whole world better, not just like our individual lives and people just being kind of greedy.
Mm-hmm. Like the whole late stage capitalism kind of thing that we're in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially businesses, they're just fucking everything up. So.
It almost kind of ties in decently with like the punk theme of like some of the other ones and stuff like that.
Oh
too.
yeah, that's what I was going for.
I remember this in studio because it's like, you've never heard this song before. Here's what you sing.
Yeah.
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 Like, what do you think of that overall? I know you didn't have too much to do with it, but like...
Yeah, I like the melodies for that song, like the na 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 is like good, and then like the guitar that Taylor's doing, like linking between the end of the chorus going into like the next verse is like all the melodies in the song are pretty tasty.
Do you remember like what inspired you to get started on this one, or like what element of the song you had first?
It was the intro guitar part, like.
Oh yeah.
I was like, this is just like, I wanted to be driving, rock forward song.
But it was fucking awesome. Like, it was so cool. So much of his talent is on display. The drums are doing some really cool stuff too, and he wrote the drums. And kind of put that all together himself. All that I really could do was play bass on it and do some backing vocals, and then he just went to town. Like, there's really no other way around it.
Certified bass player experience.
But
Just
like,
show up and do what you're told.
yeah, there were a couple like that, and you know what? It was fine because Taylor was like really taking the lead on like a couple things and really like blossoming in terms of his songwriting. This time period is when Taylor wrote all of my favorite songs that he ever wrote. It was all kind of during this time period. And so it was like really cool to be a part of that. It's not like he didn't pull his weight or anything like that. This one is really truly like me and Taylor, like 50-50, both put like we both put so much work into this. I wasn't dragging him, he wasn't dragging me. We were both putting so much work into this together. And we were so in like sync with each other. I think if like you put Taylor and I in a studio, just the two of us today, and see what we come up with, I think that would be like really interesting though too, because Taylor is such a strong musician that he can just play all the drums himself. Like there's songs where he doesn't even need me. Like he can just do everything himself. And I just think that's so fascinating, like the conditions this album was actually recorded under.
Yeah.
Because it's so purely me and Taylor. And I think that's actually probably why, in some ways, this could be like my favorite album, because there's just such a core of like our friendship kind of there. But then also you helped, but it's not like you didn't do anything either. Like you came in and you helped us put the songs together too. Yeah, but you helped us with the writing of the songs too, and I don't mean to downplay that like either.
Yeah.
But
and most importantly, have hands.
Yeah, that's fair.
We did get to do this one live a little bit. I think it's been a little bit, but we have done this one live a few times.
Yeah.
It's a fun one to play, for sure. Another one where I felt like I got to just, like, sit back and, like, just, like, focus on just jamming and playing the guitar or whatever, kind of like you take center stage there. Mm-hmm. Kind of nice to have those every once in a while, too. They're really nice in, like, the middle of a set list when my voice is getting tired.
Yeah.
It's a great song. I really love every song on this album, honestly. Basically, every song is, like, just, like, a 10 out of 10 for me. Like, these are, like, you know, just you writing great song, great song, great song.
You have some of the best songs on this one too, like Lifeline, and It's Your Choice. I really love that too. And Is It Worth It at the very end? That one's just like, wow, where did this come from? Like, holy shit.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that, man. Thank you.
We don't need to be.
I'm proud of that one.
You should be proud of that one.
Fucking punk shit.
I've always loved that song. I was like, yeah, man. I felt like, yeah, I don't know. It was just like instantly like, yeah, 100%. Like, I love this.
I wrote it fast too. I literally sat down like, I need a punk song. We need a punk song. A punk song is happening now. Just
Yeah.
like, did it.
It's so cool. It contains one of my favorite lyrics that you've ever written.
Oh yeah.
Because it really felt like ahead of its time. Like, the world devolve until AI puts us in a people zoo. Like, you were onto that in, like, 2017 or 2018. And then...
even earlier than that, it was floating in my head, because, like, that one robot, Sophie the robot,
Oh, yeah.
they were doing an interview with her, and that's what one of the things she said she would do. She was in charge. I'd put people in a zoo, or a people zoo.
Oh, my
I'm
God.
just, like, so happy to say it. It's just so freaky.
Yeah.
It freaked me out.
Yeah.
I was like, fuck.
There's so much to get behind on that one, and yeah, it matches the energy of like a lot of the other stuff really, really well.
I think you played that a couple times with us.
I think it was in development. I don't know if it was like fully fleshed out at the time.
I remember us doing like a practice or two of that at like Sound Lab.
Yeah, I think it was still the phase where like Taylor was debating like a lot of like how he wanted to go and things like that. So still very much like a work in progress back then.
I think it came together pretty okay when we were recording.
Yeah, it wasn't too hard
Yeah.
overall, even though it's got a lot of the blast beat kind of
Yeah.
thing, but like, it was good. It just happened.
And I took this opportunity to merge it into the beginning of Surveillance State because of course I did, because of course I had to.
So here's the shuffle feature.
Yeah, fuck the shuffle feature. So we get like another little song transition late in the album here.
I'm so happy to play it live. It's so fun. It's so up my alley musically. And then I was doing backing vocals for once, which is kind of cool.
Moving on to my favorite song from the album. This one just blows my dick off every time. And it just lands right in my butthole. Okay, let's just say that in a PG way. Time for my favorite song. This song is just really good. Just, here we go.
I've seen this before, I heard nobody's safe. We're all members of a surveillance state.
That one is like my favorite. It's so amazing. Like, we never played it live.
I know, that sucks that we have not done it live. I still feel like that's a goal, and I think we can do it if we just, like, actually just spend a bit of time and, like, really focus on practicing it. I think that we can. We get so distracted by, like, a newer idea or, like, a different thing or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Because it was this one and Lifeline and It's Your Choice were kind of the ones that I kind of, like, made myself and, like, weren't really made with the band, but I was kind of just like, okay, I have this, I have this, I have this.
That one is actually, like, so hard to do on the drums.
Mm-hmm.
It's very hard.
Oh, it's crazy, and it's me programming drums and being like, woo, beep, boop, this sounds cool, and then a person actually has to play it, and they're like, what the fuck?
I feel like no song of ours has been like this physically demanding and complex, especially in the drums department. Like, there's just no way around it.
You do last in a show, so you can just go and like cry backstage afterwards.
Yeah, it's going from the punk thing to the double triplets on the snare. It's just hard.
Yeah, it
It's
is
really hard.
a beast. I don't think we have anything else in our discography that's like quite this like crazy. But at the same time, I mean, like, come on. I mean, it's a step up in terms of like the songwriting and like trying to do something borderline, like almost like a little bit more progressive. You know what I mean? Like, you don't just have a beat or two. You know, we're actually changing tempo and kind of slowing down the feel for the chorus and then bringing it back up, and then, you know, it kind of ebbs and flows.
Taking elements out and reintroducing them.
Did you work on this one with us at all?
A little bit, yeah. I don't know, like, it's a different vibe from intro, but it also kind of feels like the verses, I think, feel like also similar in a way. Because it's like a little, there's like less going on, so it's like I say, it's like mysterious, like intro is, but still like kind of has like a little bit of that mouthfeel. Yeah, I feel like because there's like this one has like good transition between like, you know, having like a lot less going on in the verses and then like hits you with a lot more during the chorus, and then you got this like weird ass breakdown that's like super fast paced.
That bass part is actually pretty hard to do too. Like, that's actually pretty hard to do too.
Yeah, the fact that I was able to just like program this in and be like, let's do it exactly like I programmed it, and then it actually happened is kind of a feat within itself.
Yeah, and like it's so worth it. Like, it sounds awesome. Like, you do it all, and it's like, fuck, that was crazy. The fact we never played it, like, we gotta give that to people.
No, I'm so with you. I'm so absolutely with you on that. I would love to make that happen. Fun fact: the inspiration for the melody is one of the most bizarre things known to man. I was in a Canadian cultural history class at U of L, and we kind of listened to like a few like indigenous like songs, and there's something, or like songs from like Canadian history in the past, and there's something called the Huron Carol, and it's like this minor key kind of like ascending thing.
Okay.
So it's like not exactly the same as this melody, but I did, then all of a sudden I'm like sitting in this like history class, and I'm like, oh fuck, like something like ascending in minor would like hit super fucking hard in like a punk song.
Mm-hmm.
And so then I went home from class and I was like, na 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 na.
Wow, that's funny. Because I thought it was like a subliminal message from like Paint It Black, where like.
Well, that's funny too because it's not, but I totally see the similarity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I was feeling a little, I don't know, surveilled. No, I wasn't actually feeling like surveilled. It was more actually, it had to do with, you know, I don't know. I don't love this. I don't feel like the exact same way now as I did back then, but this was a little bit about like cops and stuff like that, and like
Man ahead of his time.
I don't know. I didn't like what felt like intimidation.
Like not like super cozy with some like past interactions I've had with cops. Like nothing crazy,
Well, it's
but
like
just
they're always watching you.
Yeah, it's just that sense of like, I don't know, I guess feeling uneasy about like the power imbalance or whatever, even though like as I age up, it's like, okay, well, yeah, like whatever, like I get it a little bit more, but just kind of on the time feeling like there was like a bit of intimidation kind of going on that didn't like sit right with me when I was, I don't know, 22 or whatever when I wrote this. I never actually intended it to be directly about like larger surveillance, but rather just like literally that smaller scale kind of police surveillance.
Okay.
It's kind of interesting. Because then I think like other people had like bigger interpretations of it.
Well, yeah, like the whole CCTV thing in England and stuff. Like.
Yeah, which I honestly was not even on my mind, but I used that word, and I think that word kind of invokes that a little bit more.
Yeah, and like internet surveillance and.
Yeah. So I guess the topic goes beyond even what I had thought of when I was writing it, which is kind of interesting within itself too.
That's the beauty of art, man. It just goes, takes its own thing.
Yeah.
Other things were just more like atmospheric or whatever, watching the color drain from the landscape. That's how I felt driving from anywhere else to Lethbridge. I really felt like everything just bled out on the way there. So I'm like pulling in imagery from like where I was at the time too, which like this was written kind of like Lethbridge days. It was such a step above anything else, and we've never really done anything that's been this aggressive since. I think our sound has changed after this album and kind of shifted in a different direction. I think the punkness and the pure punkness is unfortunately kind of like shifting away into kind of a different kind of sound and style. But this is such this was just such a cool achievement to actually get done. I know it was so much work, but when we actually got it done, it was like, yes. It was such a big reward to get it done, and the end of it's so powerful.
I still think it's a wicked song. Like, I think it's really cool. I'm right there with Taylor on wanting to present this one live. Keep an eye out for that. We might just blow your mind.
Could be like gods if we can master our fate. We could be like gods.
It's such a good song. The story I always like default to wanting to tell with this song is when we were practicing. I think it was in Powerhouse Studios in Calgary with Aaron, and Aaron's doing some of the drumming and stuff like that at the time. But you just brought this one up like so casually. You're like, oh yeah, I have this song, we could be like, and like Aaron and I are like, wait, what? Holy shit! And you're like, yeah, I don't know, but it's like, well, I probably won't use it.
I don't like it. I'm a little arrogant saying we could be like gods.
We're like, dude, you have no idea. Like, think about the voice. Think about people singing along. We could be like gods. It's so empowering. That was just one of those things that's like, Taylor, you've struck gold. Please, 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 we gotta fucking do this song.
Yeah, I was like, I'll just record it, put it to the side, be like, no!
We got you to do backing vocals on it.
Yeah, well, I think pretty much everybody's doing. There's a lot of voices going on there.
Yeah, I think it's all three of us.
Yeah. I remember, like, this is an older one, right? Like, I remember, like, learning a bit of bass for this, I feel like.
Yeah, like, this was... I think he came up with this about 27.
Yeah, like, it's definitely old enough that, like, I was still playing bass.
This one was on your EP that you did, like your Be Yourself EP.
Yeah.
That you did, and it came out there first before it actually came out for Intense Reality.
Yeah, that was pretty much all I was going to do for it. But, like, I'm so glad that we did it ourselves because it's a way better version, and playing it live is the best version.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's pretty cool now.
We have friends coming up and saying that like this is their favorite Intense Reality song.
I do get a lot of compliments on it. That's awesome.
Like there's been other ones that you've written that have come close, but this one for me still is like, man, this is just my, I don't know, just my favorite. Just the melody is so good, the message is so good, the guitar solo is crazy good, man.
He brought in like a different guitar and everything into the studio just to do this one, and he was like so excited to do the solo, and his solo was so intentional. He was like trying to work in all these like different things that he likes to do all into one guitar solo.
That was the first thing I wrote in this. I wrote the guitar solo. I was like, I need to do an awesome guitar solo.
Priorities, honestly.
Yeah. Then I wrote the rest of the song to justify having a guitar solo. So.
Yeah. Well, you know.
That's the whole reason the song's good, because the guitar solo was, so...
Well, even without the guitar solo, I still think that the rest of the song around it was good. And there was, actually, it was longer before, though, wasn't it?
I was gonna have a second part, but it was just not happening. It affected the flow a lot, and it made it boring.
Fair enough.
So, cutting it off there, it's just like, oh, damn, that was good, instead of like, now for part 2, alright, here we go.
It's probably a good call in the end.
I think it was, yeah. Keeps it more short and sweet.
What it ended up being in the studio was a lot more upbeat and a lot more concise. And like,
Picked up the pace and just
yeah,
added a couple cool things like the little break at the end right before the last chorus.
yeah. We could be like,
Boom.
yeah.
That was a good idea.
No, that was sick.
Anyways.
Wait,
that was your idea.
Was it?
Oh yeah.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes.
Or I forgot about that, I guess.
That was your idea.
Oh.
So thank you. That was a good one.
Oh, okay. Well, cool. Definitely a staple. I like never want to do a show without playing this song. Because when I hear stuff like I've heard from our friends about it, it's like, okay, well, people want to hear this. I always want to give, as soon as I hear
You
that
gotta
feedback
give the
from
people what they want.
I want to give the people what they want for sure, and they want this song.
Good.
Okay, and then that takes us to the last song. Is it worth it?
No.
For all we've known, is it worth it to keep holding on? But I just can't let go.
If you want to see Michael at his best, listen to this song, because, like, damn.
Oh man.
It's fucking awesome. I don't know, I really like when you do a song that's kind of, like, stripped down or, like, softer, because you can kind of back off your voice a bit and you hear a little more of the intricacies in it and stuff. It's just nice. And the songwriting there, like, that song is just so well done. Like, it's just like, I think it's you at your best in a lot
thank
of ways.
you.
But
Wow. Yeah.
not like you haven't done anything better, but it's really good.
Honestly, that one felt like a risk, and the context that it was written in was totally different. Like, it was not really written for this album initially,
Yeah.
because you and I were gonna do an extra, like, you know how we did Tracks and Red Eyes and Hard Goodbyes. We were gonna do another thing like that called Chaos and Order,
Right.
where we were gonna do like an A-side, B-side kind of album with like two different stories. Yours was gonna be about like a mercenary, and it would have like a bunch of metal songs.
Soldier, yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted violence and aggression.
That's fair. So I think you had like some metal ideas, and then I had this like miniature like plot arc kind of thing with some like middle-aged dude that like reassesses his life and like wonders if he like made all the right choices or something like that. I don't know. And it kind of was more related to like this guy's like work-life balance and stuff like that. And I had just like a lot of like song starters. In the end, like, I think a couple of those songs just died and never got finished, and then I used 3 other ones from that on a solo album of mine instead. But Is It Worth It was part of that, but it was supposed to be kind of just like part of this story. It wasn't really about, and then I think the meaning got kind of like reapplied to what was going on internally with the band. It was about February 2019, and you and I had like about a week together in Red Deer to be working on this project and stuff like that. We're like, okay, well, I got this and I got that. And I think I just like wrote it in that bedroom that I used to live in. And I'm like, oh, Taylor, here's, whatever, right? And then you're like, oh, cool, I got this metal one. And then in the middle of that week, or at the end of that week, or the idea for the project got interrupted because Aaron came and visited us.
Then the incident happened. There's no other way. This one is directly tied to the incident.
Yeah. Fortunately, our NDA expired 54 minutes ago.
Oh, we can actually talk about it.
Yeah. So the incident is, don't do a PhD. It consumes all of your free time, and then it turns out that you don't have time to play guitar or drums or do anything fun ever. So yeah, basically I was a fool, decided to go to grad school, and then I wasn't able to keep up with like practicing and not failing school at the same time, so I had to quit the band in 2019.
Yeah. You came down from Edmonton.
Yeah, I was
just
like
to visit
passing
us.
through.
We're like, oh, he's
Yeah.
coming for a visit. This is gonna be like a cool, fun hangout.
Yeah, I was like, I love you guys, but I have to quit. I'm holding you back. Goodbye. That was sad. Not a good hangout. Probably like the worst hangout I would say we've ever had.
It was probably the worst hangout we've ever had.
Yeah.
Do you remember like when you like were officially coming to that conclusion and that realization was setting in that it just wasn't going to work for you to stay in the band?
Well, it's just kind of like the last few practice sessions, because it's like I could tell I wasn't like keeping up with you guys anymore, and so then it was just like became more frustrating for me than anything. So I was like, I'm not like where I want to be like musically, and in terms of like being as tight with everything, like being able to be on top of like practicing and stuff like that. I can't remember if at the time we were talking about recording these songs already or not, but
We would have been kind of leading up to that at least.
yeah, maybe like the idea was starting to float around there. Then I was like, there's no way I'm gonna be able to like record or like be practiced well enough to like be able to put something that I would be proud of out into the recordings.
He's like, guys, I need to quit the band. I mean, I don't know exactly why, but I feel like that's kind of just interrupted our flow on that project anyway, and we kind of threw out that idea. We're like, okay, let's focus on what we can do for Intense Reality instead.
That was tough.
Yeah.
Like that was tough because it was like, then we just knew that we wanted to complete the album and see it through, and then that's all that we knew at the time.
Yeah.
So we went in summer 2019. I think you came and had that conversation with us in like February 2019.
Yeah.
So Taylor and I took a little bit of time to like finish the songwriting, paired off like what we thought should be on the album or we thought shouldn't, finished a couple newer ideas together that we hadn't even had time to show to you yet, and it's kind of we're like, well, okay, I guess it saves us teaching Aaron this song. But then it was still this drive to like get you to actually like come back and be in it.
Yeah, because that's the thing that Michael is a necromancer. He keeps reanimating my corpse and pulling me back into the studio.
I like seeing things through to a satisfying conclusion.
Yeah,
and
but he's never satisfied. That's the catch.
yeah, I know. No, they're just ways where like certain things that we've done as a band, that album, and then a couple like nostalgia trips back to like redo old songs. It feels wrong if you're not there.
Yeah.
It just feels wrong.
Yeah, well, it was fun to do all of those things too.
Yeah, so that's like that's how a lot of this is kind of came to be. But this song, like it kind of fell off the story track that it was on before, and then it became more about like thinking that the band was imminently going to end, and then being like, I'll stay near till the last spark is gone, and just like it became more about
this is the last song on the album. I feel like probably for that reason.
The lyrics had a lot of double meaning in terms of how they were implied.
Well, I think there's a couple moments in the album that are like that too, because like you said like Hold On is about you and Kaylee doing long distance, but I also like I feel like that one was also about like me leaving the band a bit, like for me.
Yeah, like you interpreted the words that way, kind of. You know, you and I had a really nice phone call not that long after, and I was like, buddy, our friendship is not contingent on you being in the band.
Yeah,
I love you, man.
Yeah, I love you.
We ended up, working on a track list for this, and then I think I said to you, like, hey, I think this, like, Is It Worth It one that I have, like, could be good as an Intense Reality song, but I'm not really sure because it's like pretty different than the other stuff. Like, what do you think?
Well, yeah, and I mean, having no other instruments on it, like it's not really like a regular set list kind of song.
Mm-hmm.
But to put on an album, especially one when it's just the two of us, it's like that's a really good closing song. Like, especially if I'm doing this acoustic opening song, then it kind of starts acoustic, ends acoustic.
That's a great point too. Yeah, it does kind of have like an overall kind of like an arc to it or whatever. So yeah, I mean that was cool. I remember being very self-conscious about it in the studio because it was so stripped down. I like really overthought it. I was getting Daryl and Christine to like give me advice on like whether they thought the string part should be in or not. I didn't want it to be like overproduced, but I didn't want it to sound too bare. I just mostly wanted it to just sound like I'm sitting next to you playing a guitar.
Yeah, and that's what it sounds like. I'm glad we put the string in there because it adds just that little bit of extra dimension that like can give you chills depending on how you're listening, right? Like,
yeah,
I think it's a great detail.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think it was a good call in the end, and then
that's another thing Aaron played was the keyboards there.
Well, this is another one where you required my unique talents in the studio. I spent literal minutes.
Yeah.
A long time learning this one. Yeah, that was another one where I was like, you want me to do what on the keyboard? Because I don't know what this song is, really.
I came in with a broad idea that I wanted like a strings kind of sound over top of like the later sections of the song. That's all that I knew. So I figured when we went in that I would just put it together in post. Fix it in post.
And it was cool because I think we thought we might have to program that, but then Aaron being around meant that somebody could actually play it per se, and then we had no MIDI, no program stuff on this album at all, which felt nice and like genuine.
Yeah.
For kind of like what we wanted.
See, this whole recording this album, like, I feel like more than half the stuff I didn't even know I was going to be doing it until you're like, hey, do you want to do this? Because it's like, yeah, okay, I'll come there and do, like, I don't know, 20 minutes of, like, random background vocals for, like, the songs that I knew. And you guys kept being like, hey, like, do this for this song, or like, here's this cowbell. Like,
We wanted you involved.
Yeah.
Like, we wanted you involved and wanted it to feel like you helped make the album with us.
Yeah,
still, even
it was
though-
nice to be able to like do those little random things. Cause yeah, it was a bummer to like not have been able to like actually see the songs through to the end.
Mm-hmm.
So it's still nice to like be able to contribute a little bit.
It was written for something else, but then it kind of turned out to be like kind of a cool thing about Intense Reality, and I always felt that bit about like stay near till like the last spark is gone, and then it felt like it had those like parallels with Aaron and everything, and it just got like it took on a new meaning.
Kept it pretty sentimental for me, honestly. Every time that you played that, I was like, how could I not do this? Like, this just made it more meaningful overall. I don't know.
Yeah, all that stuff makes me love the album and stuff like that, because it's about, I guess it's also kind of about friendship and stuff like that too. So it's like my favorite album for so many reasons. It was so core to like who we were. I thought the songs were fantastic and like really fucking cool.
Wrapping up, so looking at the, like, what things do you think the album does the best? Like, what are some really, like, big strengths about Are We Still the Same as an album, would you say?
Well, like the song transitions, and I was just gonna say, like, just the songwriting overall, just like everything, we hit a level that we hadn't hit before,
Yeah.
and with we captured better recordings as well. So that makes everything just a lot cleaner. You can actually hear more details. So overall, yeah, just we wrote better and we performed better.
I feel like the tones it tries to hit, like it hits them better than any previous album. Like if you're trying to have like Hold On is like this really emotional song, and like I feel like it does the best job of any Intense Reality song of like going in that direction. And then like you've got some of these more like pop punk songs that, you know, like they do the best job of like actually hitting like the tones that they're trying to achieve.
It's so nice to hear you talk so positively about like stuff like Is It Worth It or like Surveillance State that like I don't always have to think about.
Yeah,
But
it took me a long time to like want to praise and appreciate songs like Is It Worth It, because like they're not up my alley. I don't listen to stuff like that very much.
Mhm.
But yeah, like Surveillance State, I started to listen a lot more stuff like that, and it's just like I've always been a fan of that song.
to be fair, I mean, I don't even necessarily listen to a lot of stuff that sounds like Is It Worth It? It just kind of just fell out of me.
Yeah.
Really, it's not even modeled after anything that I remember listening to. Like, I can't remember what musically inspired it. It just kind of happened.
Yeah, it's weird how that happens. I've done that too. It's like, how did I write this?
Yeah.
I wrote a country song once. I was like, what the fuck?
When we listened back, was it like, has it been recent enough that you listened to it? They're like, okay, yeah, whatever. Or did you get kind of surprised by a couple things listening to it?
No, I got surprised by a couple of things. Like, it just was better. Like, I don't know. I remember being so critical of it when I was listening to it before. And so I just listened to it without being critical, and I just really appreciated it. I was like, this was good. Like, everything was good. Like, I don't know what I was so worried about before.
I don't know, like, because this one's kind of weird in that
It is weird.
it
in that
always
way, I
like
suppose.
existed afterwards, because like, you know, the previous albums like I would listen to a lot because I would just like practice along with the recordings.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know, this one I'm probably gonna listen to like 4 or 5 times ever.
Yeah, so it's not so much.
Yeah, it's always been in that like post-incident phase.
I think just the differences in how some of the stuff comes out live, I think, surprised me. Or, yeah, like some of them you can tell that I haven't listened to in a little bit because we haven't performed them as much. It's really cool hearing that keyboard part in Lifeline, for example, because I think it complements the songs so well.
Yeah.
But you never really see that live, right? Or like just a couple other things that like, it's like worth it to see us live, but it's also worth it to like sit down and listen to this whole album as well. Like, let's say we're back in 2019 and we're going in and recording it like now, like what would you change anything about the track list or like?
No, I would just try to just add more details and just play it better and just, you know, have a little bit better equipment too, and just you know, do as much as I can, just add as much nuance and everything.
Yeah.
I think we had really good songs throughout. I don't know. I wouldn't really change much.
And like looking at the B-sides, I don't think that the B-sides are better than anything that was actually on the album. So
Yeah.
I feel like there must have been some kind of like point where I probably wanted to include more, and then you helped me see that it was better, that it was like thinner.
Let's just focus on these ones.
Yeah, focus on these ones. So I always appreciate you for that, because
It was an easy choice.
yeah, well there you go. It's our choice.
Yeah.
So was there anything like that we did that you're like, oh, that's weird that they did that?
No, it's weird that you did it, but like the drums in Hold On are just like a little different than the way that I did them originally.
Yeah.
Like it still works. Like
Yeah.
it's not like I'm like, oh, that's bad or anything. It's just like just a different way of doing it.
Yeah, fair. Yeah, I was definitely trying to replicate what you did, but probably not exactly the same, obviously, because Taylor's different than you.
Yeah.
Right? This is such a special album. It's such like an interesting time in Intense
Very
Reality's career.
transitional period.
Yes, it really feels like Intense Reality 1.0, like the kind of end of Intense Reality 1.0, and then kind of shifting into Intense Reality 2.0, which is kind of how I felt like we've been in for a little bit since like 2019, 2020. I feel like we kind of been in Intense Reality 2.0. Like, same but different, but
Yeah.
still the same.
You can buy it.
Ah,
here
ooh.
and
And that's
here.
our show, folks. Thanks for watching. Thanks for checking out this YouTube series. This will be the last one of these that we do for now. But, if we've got a different project, coming up that you want to hear more behind the scenes about, I love doing this kind of content as well. Aaron, thank you for being here. I drag you out of being away a lot.
Yeah.
That's because
It's cool.
That's because you got cool things to say and cool insights and
Yeah.
everything, right? So
Now I'm gonna get locked back into the computer screen.
anyway, yeah, thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you dig our new compilation album. It's just basically all the best Intense Reality tracks over the years, all wrapped into one. Features some re-recordings of some songs from our very first album, Midnight Drive, Downward Spiral, and Pieces. They're brand new versions of those songs from like 10 plus years ago, with Aaron coming back and doing bass on them as well. And then, yeah, best of songs from all our other albums. So hopefully that's something you can dig. There's a new song on the end of that as well there, too. So check that out. We've got lots of other stuff out on our YouTube channel. If you want to see us break down the albums that are even older than this, you certainly can. Hopefully we'll see you sometime soon at a show. And otherwise, enjoy the rest of your day. Stay tuned in the future. Bye.
Yay!
Goodbye.
See ya.